Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining for today's web meeting, Understanding Social Media, Searching for Prosecutors, High-Tech Crime Training Services Team. Today's webinar is brought to you by the Association of Prosecuting Attorneys. Please see the contact information for this organization here. My name is William Moore, and I'm with JJDP's National Training and Technical Assistance Center. And as your technical host, I would like to take a couple of minutes to discuss a few features of the Adobe Connect webinar platform and to provide a few announcements to keep in mind. Please note that today's webinar is being recorded. For those wishing to download a copy of the PowerPoint slides and other important documents, you may do so by locating the Handouts pod directly above the chat area. Here, you will also find an FAQ for webinar participants that will likely address any technical related questions. Click on the name of the file and then click the download button. At the end of today's webinar, there will be a Q&A session where presenters will address some of the questions posed during the presentation. Please type your questions into the chat box as they arise. Please note that this next part is only for people who are viewing today's webinar in a group. For those of you participating in today's webinar as a group, please take a minute to help us count. Go to the chat window and type in the total number of additional people in the room with you today. If you're viewing alone, there's no need to type anything into the chat pod at this time. And I'll give folks just a couple of seconds to do so. Again, please type the total number of additional people in the room with you today. If you're viewing alone, there's no need to type anything at this time. At the conclusion of today's webinar, you will be provided with a certificate of attendance. It's sent approximately 1 hour following the conclusion of the event and sent via an Adobe Connect thank you email. Please keep an eye on your email for the certificate and note that individuals that are signed in today's webinar will receive the certificate. I will now turn today's webinar over to Amy Peterson for our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, William. Good afternoon. My name is Amy Peterson. I'm a project associate with the Child Abuse Prosecution Project here at the Association of Prosecuting Attorneys. APA is a private nonprofit located in Washington, D.C., serving prosecutors as well as their law enforcement and community partners. Thank you for joining our Child Abuse Prosecution webinar today. Today's webinar will be presented by Lauren Wagner, High-Tech Crime Training Specialist with the Search Group. This presentation has been made possible by Grant 2019-CIFX-K001, awarded by the Office of Justice Programs through Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. APA is very appreciative of their financial assistance and commitment to improving the justice system. Points of view or opinions in this presentation are those of the presenter and do not necessarily represent the views of the United States Department of Justice and the Association of Prosecuting Attorneys. I will now turn it over to our presenter, Lauren Wagner.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you, William. I'm very grateful to be here today for this session. As Amy said, my name is Lauren Wagner, and I am a high-tech crime training specialist with the Search Group. And today we're going to talk about social media searches in a capacity for prosecutors or your investigators. And we understand that prosecutors are not doing the investigations themselves. These aren't searches that we would think that you would be doing on your own, but it's important to have an understanding of what's possible. And so today in our agenda, what I'm going to go over are 4 different ways that you can search within different social media platforms, because social media is used by much of the population within the United States and internationally. And not only is understanding the social media footprint important for any of the suspects that may be in your investigations, but also for the witnesses, for the investigators that are doing the investigations, and even for possibly the jurors that are in the jury on the cases that you guys are prosecuting. So in our agenda today, the first thing we're going to talk about is Google Boolean searching. And these Google Boolean searches will allow us to be more direct in the searches that we're doing across the various social media platforms. And some of the advantages of using Google in your Boolean searches, or using Google Boolean searches in the investigations that you're doing, is that for many of the Google searches that we're doing, we don't need to have a social media account in order to complete these searches. For instance, if I want to search in Facebook, to do a basic search using the graph search feature at the top of the Facebook platform, I first need to log into Facebook for that search box to even populate as an option to be able to use. When I use Google to search in Facebook, I don't need to log in, and I can still end up with the same results as what I would do if I would log into Facebook and populate my search on someone's name in that search box. So that's sort of the first thing that we're going to talk about, is how we can use Google in this direct searching way to search across social media platforms. The second thing we're going to talk about is searching tweets by location. And this allows us to pick a specific latitude and longitude and see any of the open source information that's being tweeted out from that specific address, street address, by searching by that specific latitude and longitude. This would allow us to find potential witnesses at a scene or people that are tweeting about a crime that's occurring. You could use it to search for any people that are tweeting from a witness's house or a suspect's house to try to identify accounts that could be associated with those actual physical addresses. Or even something as simple as searching for tweets coming out of your courthouse to see if your jurors are tweeting about being on jury duty or having jury duty or anything that maybe they shouldn't be populating into their social media feeds. The third thing we're going to talk about are seeing someone's Instagram followers and who they're following without logging into Instagram. Again, when I'm not logged into Instagram, it's validating the fact that this is just open source information that's out there and available, and there's ways to use third-party Instagram searching sites. We're going to use a specific site called Sumpture to be able to find someone's followers and who they're following without logging into the Instagram platform. And then the fourth thing we're going to talk about is Facebook friend comparisons. Now, to view these Facebook friend comparisons, you do need to be logged into a Facebook account, and we'll talk about some of the considerations around logging in. But one of the advantages to doing this way to search the Facebook friend comparisons is if you go to someone's page and they don't have their friends list set to public, if you can identify one associate to them that does have their friends list set to public, we can use what I like to call a URL manipulation in order to see the mutual friends between your original target profile and the target profile of the second person. And we'll talk about the methodology between getting that information. We're not hacking into any private information in this way. We're just using any other open source information that's available in order to view the mutual connections between your original starting target profile. So the first thing we're going to talk about is using Google. So using Google in your investigations, we need to have a basic understanding first of how Google keywords operate. When I go to the Google search engine and I type in keywords, for instance, if you were looking for a suspect named Lauren Wagner, when you go to the Google search engine and type in Lauren Wagner, Google is actually a pretty broad search engine with the results that it's going to give you. It's going to look for any result for the word Lauren or a synonym of the word Lauren. So Laura, Lori, Lorena, all of the synonyms of Lauren, and the word Wagner or Wagney or Wagno, Wagoner, alternate spellings of Wagner, anywhere on that website. So you end up with a lot of irrelevant information that maybe isn't going to be leading you to the specific targeted person that you're looking for. So we need to figure out how to be better with our search strings so that we get the specific targeted information that we look for. Instead of going and getting 34 million results when I do a search for Lauren Wagner, how could I get maybe only a couple hundred that's talking about the specific targeted person that you're looking for? So Google has built-in functionality that will increase its usefulness in your investigations, and these are called Boolean operators. And Boolean operators create specificity with your keywords or the types of data that's being searched. The nice thing about these Google Boolean operators is they can be used in all of your Google platforms. So for instance, if you're doing a search with Google Images or Google Blog Search or Google Scholar, you could use these Boolean operators in order to search any of the various Google services that are out there and available. We're going to talk specifically today about using them within web search. The most simplistic Boolean operator that's available is quotes around 2 or more words. So for instance, if you were looking for a suspect named Lauren Wagner, you could choose to put that phrase, Lauren, and then spacebar, Wagner, into quotes. And how I've affected my keywords now is I'm telling Google to only find results where the exact words Lauren and Wagner are together within that page. So it's narrowing my data to just these specific words, or in this case, this specific name, and not data that is synonyms or where that data does not exist on the page directly beside each other. So if you're doing something like the name of a school, so one of the local schools to where I live is Gateway Oaks High School. So if I wanted to look for Gateway Oaks High School, I would choose to put that Gateway Oaks High School into quotes so that I'm looking for those 4 exact words in that exact order and not just those words or synonyms of those words anywhere on the page. Now, one of the complications that can arise if you're looking for someone's name by putting into quotes is there are occasions, specifically on social media, where the names may not appear directly first and last together. You may have a maiden name, you may have a middle name, you may have a nickname, you may have a variant of the name somewhere on the page. So what we can do is we can actually combine the next 2 Boolean operators in order to get around that potential complication. The first Boolean operator we're going to use in order to get around that potential complication is we're going to put quotes around a single word. So rather than say into your Google results that you're looking for just the words Lauren and Wagner exactly together that way, if I break my search keywords into individual quote sets by putting quotes around just the first word and then a space, and then quotes around just the last word, I'm telling Google to look for those exact spellings of those exact words, but not necessarily in that exact order. So if I'm listed somewhere with my maiden name in the middle or a middle initial, or I'm listed as a presenter as Wagner, Lauren, by putting the names in individual quote strings, like the example that you see on the PowerPoint slide, it would be able to find it versus in the previous slide when it was Lauren Wagner as a phrase exactly together. It wouldn't find any of those examples. The problem arises, though, that now the words Lauren and Wagner could be in disparate parts of the website. We could have a results from a 5K race that is run by someone named Lauren Smith and Steve Wagner. So we're going to use another Boolean operator, which is around. And around forces proximity of our keywords. Because when we're looking for a name, it's fair to say that those names, even with a middle initial or an opposite order, are going to be somewhere close to each other in the results that you're looking for. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the Boolean string around. Now there is a typo on this slide. On the third bullet it says it must include a hashtag to search around. That should be a number. It must include the number sign to search around. But when we translated the slide deck for compatibility, it translated the number sign into a hashtag. So there is an error in this slide I wanted to point out. But when we're using the Boolean operator of around, a couple of rules are it must be typed in all of capital letters. So in this case, I put the keyword of the first name, Lauren, in quotes, and then a space. And then around typed in all capital letters, and then a space. And then the number of words that I want my keywords to be within of each other, and then a space, and then the last name, the keyword Wagner, into quotes. And now I'm being very specific to tell Google I'm looking for the exact first name and the exact last name and they have to be around 3 words of each other, but not necessarily in that order. So it allows for things like middle initials and nicknames and variants of your name where I'm not as specific as just putting that name into quotes. Within the keywords themselves, Lauren and Wagner, capitalization is irrelevant. But within our Boolean operators, capitalization is critical. If you type around in lowercase letters, Google doesn't recognize it as a Boolean operator. A couple other examples I just want to talk about here with this around Boolean operator is you can also use this to narrow your search to people that have similar or common names. So if I was looking for Lauren Wagner that works at Search Group Incorporated, I could maybe choose to put Lauren Wagner in quotes and then around 10 words of Search Group Incorporated. And that would find things like my LinkedIn profile or any conferences that I have done speaking engagements at, where my name and the agency that I work for are also together. You can also use this for hashtags or to localize your results. For instance, if I wanted to search the social media app Whisper, within Whisper, it puts the name of the city in the secrets. So if I was looking for a specific keyword, I might choose to put whatever that keyword is around 15 words of the city that I want Google to search within the Whisper database. So it's not just limited to first and last names. When we think about Boolean operators, we're really only limited with our own creativity about how we can force Google to work for us in this powerful investigative capability. The next Boolean operator is a minus sign. The minus sign removes information, and this is very helpful for narrowing the net that we're casting based around things that we know the person we're looking for or the place that we're looking for or the object that we're looking for is not. For instance, my name, Lauren Wagner, is a very common name, and the most popular Lauren Wagner as far as Google rankings are concerned was the victim of the Hillside Strangler, who was a serial killer in the Bay Area in the 70s and 80s. And so when I look for Lauren Wagner, because either I'm your suspect or I'm just doing some ego surfing to see what information is out there around me on the internet, I find a lot of information about the Hillside Strangler victim. So if I wanted to remove any data where the Hillside Strangler is also included with the name Lauren Wagner, I could use the Boolean operator of minus. I might put my full name in quotes, quote, Lauren, space, Wagner, quote, and then a space, and then the minus sign Hillside. It's important to note that the minus and Hillside are all smooshed together with no spaces. If you put a space between the minus sign and the word or phrase you're trying to exclude, Google doesn't understand what you're trying to do. So you need to make sure that there's no spaces between the minus sign and what you're trying to exclude. This is really nice for people, specifically if you know places they did not live or jobs that they did not have. So if you were looking for me because I was your suspect, I've never lived in the state of Ohio. So I could go into my search window and also add a minus Ohio. I'm not a real estate agent, so I could add a minus quote, real estate quote, and remove the phrase real estate. And it's just going to help you take the net that you're casting and be more specific around only looking for the data that you want to include in your search results. Another Boolean operator is OR. An OR, capital O, capital R, allows us to combine our searches into one. I like this for nicknames. So if I'm looking for someone that goes by Lauren Wagner or their nickname of Peter Wagner, I could use the OR in my Google search to look for something or something else by combining those two Google searches into a single search. OR is also a powerful operator when used in conjunction with the next Boolean operator that we're going to talk about, which is cite colon. So what cite colon does is it allows us to specify a specific domain that we want to search. So if I wanted to search only the domain search.org and any subdomains within the website search.org, which is the website for Search Group Incorporated where I work at, I could tell Google, I want you to look for the exact phrase Lauren Wagner by using quotes around Lauren space Wagner, and then I would put a space, and I would say, I only want you to search with the site colon search.org. Now, a couple of rules about the Boolean operator of site colon. Site colon must be typed in lowercase letters. Site colon must be followed by a domain. So it's site colon facebook.com. It's not site colon Facebook. Also, site colon and the domain that you want to search are all smooshed together with no spaces. So when we're talking about these Boolean operators, every character counts. And it takes a little bit of practice to get these right. So if you download a copy of the presentation, I've taken screenshots of some examples so that you can make sure that you're working with the spaces in the correct order and getting data that would be populated for what you're looking for. And site colon is the operator that I use to search on social media. So if I wanted to search for someone named Natalie Dank on Facebook, rather than log into Facebook and go into the search box and type Natalie Dank into the search box, I can go to Google without being logged into Facebook and put her name in quotes and then a space, site colon facebook.com. You can use this to search for hashtags. When I'm searching for a hashtag, it's basically a single word exact quote. So I would put a quote and then whatever the hashtag is I want to search and then a space on site colon instagram.com. Or we mentioned searching on Whisper, which is an app that people use for sharing secrets. If I was looking for an app related to my investigation, for instance, in a crimes against children investigation, we might be looking for people that are talking about age play scenarios. I could look for the exact phrase age play space on site colon whisper.sh. Whatever you put after the site colon just has to be the domain or the social media site, for example, that you want to search. So if you want to use site colon to search social media sites, you may have to build your own site colon operator set. And how you do that is the following. First, you identify how the website creates what I call a parent URL, which is just the main domain of that website. So for the example that I'm going to go through, we're going to use the microblogging site Tumblr. And the main domain of Tumblr is www.tumblr.com. Once you've identified the parent URL, I would identify 3 to 4 children URLs. And a child URL is be an example of a profile or a tag or a piece of content or a comment within a piece of content. And you just collect those parents and children, and then you see what's in common across both of the parents and the children. So in our example of Tumblr, the parent URL of Tumblr is www.tumblr.com. And some of the children would be, for example, whatever the username is, .tumblr.com to go to a profile, or whatever the username is, .tumblr.com/post/unique post identifier for a specific piece of content, or www.tumblr.com/tag/keyword that I was looking for. So I take this parent and these children, and I see what's in common. And in this case, it would just be tumblr.com. So if I wanted to use Google to search Tumblr, my site colon operator would become site colon tumblr.com. And I could go to Google and I could search for people by a name or a location or a phrase or a hashtag or a comment within a piece of content. This would allow me to search the whole Tumblr open source database without logging into Tumblr and using their own internal search engine first. And you're really only limited to this by your imagination. You can use it to search Facebook with site colon www.facebook.com, or you can use site colon facebook.com. And there is actually a difference if you include the www or you don't include the www. And the difference would be if you include the www after your site colon operator, you're only searching United States-based Facebook data. If you want to search all Facebook data, including international data, you would leave out the www and just use site colon facebook.com. You can use this to search Instagram. You can use it to search Reddit, TikTok, Whisper, Tumblr, Motherless. Basically, any website that doesn't require you to log in to see any information first, you can use Google and the site colon operator to search within that specific social media platform. The second topic we're going to talk about is searching tweets by location. So this is also going to use a Boolean operator, but the Boolean operator we're going to use to search for tweets by location is actually specific to the Twitter search engine. So Twitter has its own search engine, which could be found by going to search.twitter.com in your browser. One of the advantages to using your browser and starting at search.twitter.com versus using the Twitter app is I don't need to be logged in to Twitter to use the search engine for Twitter in my browser. And the more things I could do without being logged in, the better when it comes to social media, because social media tends to leak information between what accounts you're logged in with and the searches that you're conducting. And the reason is, if we think about social media, the goal is to connect users to each other. So if I'm logged into my Lauren Wagner Twitter account and I'm searching for all of these people named Natalie Dank, Twitter is going to assume that we want to find each other. And one of the things it may do is it may put Lauren Wagner's Twitter profile into the suggested followers for Natalie Dank. So there's data leakage that could occur, which could become problematic when you're using any sort of personal Twitter accounts or personal social media accounts and searching for people related to your investigations. That's why I try to do as much as I can without being logged in, so I don't have to worry about the data leakage that's happening across these social media platforms. So this Twitter search engine has its own list of Boolean operators, and some of them are similar to the ones that are in Google. I can use quotes, I can use a minus, I can use capital O, capital R for my or. I can use them, and if you go to the search.twitter.com website, underneath the search box on that page, you'll actually see where it says tip use operators, and if you click on that, you'll get a partial operator set. One of the operators that's not listed, however, though, is the one that we're going to use next, and that's the one that allows us to search by latitude and longitude. That Boolean operator is called geocode. And just like with our Boolean operators, every character counts. Syntax is critical when we're talking about creating a Boolean string. Your syntax for your geocode search is geocode colon, latitude, comma, longitude, comma, radius from that pinpointed location that you want to search in either miles or kilometers, followed by MI or KM. So if you don't have all of the pieces of that puzzle in your operator set, Twitter will come back and say no results found. The problem with this is it's not really no results found. It's you didn't give me the operator how you wish to give me the operator. And that's a big difference between looking at data or thinking that there's no data available. So when you do these a couple of times, just make sure you have no spaces within that whole string of your operators. Now, in order to find latitudes and longitudes of locations, you can use any mapping platform. Personally, I think the easiest way to get latitude and longitude from a street address or the name of a location is by using Bing Maps. And you can get to Bing Maps by either going to www.bing.com/maps or typing maps.bing.com into your browser. When you go to Bing Maps, first you would type in the name of the physical address. And the example that I have in the slide deck is going to be searching for tweets coming out of my local courthouse in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is the Allegheny County Courthouse. Because I think it's important to understand, like, are your jurors doing things or talking about things that maybe they shouldn't be talking about? And so one of the ways that you could see if any of the people that are on your juries are tweeting about being on your juries is by searching for any of the tweets coming out from your courthouse. So I typed in the name of my courthouse. And then once that data loads on the right-hand side into your map, it will have the name of the location and then a pinpointed dot on the map and a little circle around that dot. Once that has loaded, you right-click on that dot, and the last option in your right-click menu will actually be the latitude and longitude from that place. Once you right-click and get the latitude and longitude from that place, you just have a button that says copy. Once you click the button that says copy, your browser will instruct you to push Control-C, the keyboard shortcut for copy, and you would push Control-C, and then that latitude and longitude is copied into your clipboard. So now I have the location copied in my clipboard that I want to use to find the tweets that are coming out from that specific location. I go back to my search.twitter.com in my browser, and I type in my operator of geocode. I put a colon, and I paste. The thing to remember when you paste from your clipboard is when you copy it from your clipboard, Bing Maps puts a space in between your latitude and your longitude. And with our operator, it's important that we don't have any spaces in our operator string. So you need to remember to go into your search box and delete the space out from between your latitude and longitude. The other thing about our geocode operator is it also requires a radius. So in this example, you could see I was searching for 0.3 of a mile from that courthouse. So I put a comma and 0.3 mi. The smallest radius you can search for by using this geocode operator is 1/10 of a kilometer. So your smallest radius would be 0.1 km. As far as upper radius, in case anyone's wondering what the upper radius is, I've tested it up to 25 miles. I can't imagine you would want to do much more than that, but I don't know that there is an upper radius that you could search for, but I have tested successfully up until 25 miles. So I add my geocode search, latitude, comma, longitude, comma, radius, and then I would push enter to see my results. Once I'm looking at my results of Twitter, you have to remember that you are looking globally for all information within 0.3 of a mile of that courthouse. Now, if you're looking for information about a critical incident that's still occurring, you would want to look for all of that data. But if I'm looking for something like people tweeting about being on jury duty, I may also need to add a keyword into my search string. So for instance, within my Allegheny County Courthouse, if I would add the exact phrase jury duty by using the Boolean of quotes, I could put quote, jury, space, duty, quote, and then a space, and then my geocode string. Once I would do that, it would limit me to only tweets that have the exact phrase jury duty within 0.3 of a mile from that courthouse. And within my specific courthouse, I get things that are tweets that say, jury duty all day, #guilty. Like, this could be problematic if this is your juror. I also have a photo that someone took at lunch that has a Moscow Mule and a beer, and it says jury duty lunch break. And if you're from a state like Texas or Iowa where your jurors aren't allowed to have alcohol while on jury duty, having data like this that's people that are tweeting out photos of them drinking while at their jury duty lunch break could be important information for you to have to avoid having issues later within that trial or having those jurors selected onto the cases that you guys are prosecuting. As I said, when you go to search.twitter.com, you can get a partial list of operators. This would be an example of some of the operators you could search for. Some of the other operators you may want to use in your searches that you're looking for, you can use the # sign to do a hashtag search. From : and to : are very powerful operators in your Twitter search strings because they allow you to search for specific tweets from a person, or to a particular user. When you're doing searches from or to a particular user, you would use the piece of their handle that's after the @ sign. And if you're looking at a Twitter profile in a browser, that part of the handle could be found when you're at their profile. It's whatever's after the / in twitter.com. So if I'm at my own personal Twitter profile and my handle is Lauren77, if you wanted to get to my profile in your browser, you would type twitter.com / Lauren77. If you wanted to see all of the tweets from me, you would go to the Twitter search engine, search.twitter.com, and search for from : Lauren77. That would allow you to filter your searching to just my original content tweets and not any of the retweets that I'm adding into my own Twitter feed. This can be helpful if you have people that are like serial retweeters and they're taking a lot of the data that's being put out onto Twitter and they're populating it into their own feed. It would allow you to filter your search to just their original content. Similarly, if you wanted to see all of the people that were tweeting to me by using the reply feature that's built into the Twitter interface, in search.twitter.com, you could do 2: followed by my handle, Lauren77, and that would allow you to see other people's data that they're tweeting to me within the reply function in Twitter. This would allow you to see people that have maybe more of a close relationship with your original target person, because if they're having multiple conversations on Twitter, you'd be able to see the data that's going back and forth. And then just like we could in Google, you could build your Boolean operators together. So if I have a person named Michelle Slack that I'm friends with on Twitter, and her handle is Michelle Slack, you could look for all of the tweets to Lauren77 space from Michelle Slack. And that would show you just the tweets to user 1 from user 2. So if you have a suspect and a victim or 2 victims and you want to see just their conversations that they're having through the reply feature on Twitter, you can build these Boolean operators to make complex operator search strings to get specific targeted information. The third thing we're going to talk about, talking about searching social media and sort of what's possible to make sure you're looking for all of the information that's out there, is finding someone's Instagram followers and who they're following without having an Instagram account. Similarly to Twitter, if I'm logged into an Instagram account and I'm clicking to view someone's followers or who they're following, Instagram may assume that we want to have a connection through that Instagram interface. So if I can do this without being logged in, I don't have to worry about my information being populated into the suggested profiles to follow to the people that I'm doing my searches on. And the utility we're going to utilize in order to find someone's followers and following is called Sumpture. Sumpture is a third-party Instagram searching website. You can do searches on Sumpture by hashtag, by people's names, but I think its real value is allowing to see someone's followers and following without being logged into your Instagram account. Now, it's important to note that this is only going to work when we're not logged in to Instagram on non-private content accounts. So if someone has all of their content on Instagram set to private, you would need to be their follower in order to see the rest of their followers or who they're following. But when I'm on an account that does not have private content, Instagram allows anyone to see who their followers are and following. So it's open source information because anyone can actually access that information. And Sumpture's just utilizing that and allowing you to see it through their interface rather than through the Instagram app, which you need an account to access and use. In order to get the information from Sumpture, you need to have 2 specific pieces of identifying information. The first specific piece of identifying information that you need is the Instagram username. The second piece of specific information that you need is the Instagram ID number. I'm going to show you how you would find both of those things. The easiest way to find an Instagram username is to bring up the profile in a browser, and you could either look at the field to the left of the follow button, so in this case it's Bongarella's, or you could look into the URL of the account, of the profile that you're viewing, and it's whatever's after the / after Instagram.com /. That would be the username of this person. The username in Instagram is a specific identifying field because there can only be one person with that username at any given time. So if I wanted to use that for legal process, it's a field I can use for legal process because it's a singularly identifiable field. However, it is important to note that the Instagram username can be changed by the user a limited number of times. So if I had the Instagram username of Bongarella's and I want to change it to Lauren77, I am allowed to make that change a limited number of times. And you would need to know my current username in order for this to work. You can't use my previous username. In order to find the Instagram ID number, You open up someone's profile in the browser, and then you need to view the page source. And there is a keyboard shortcut to view the page source, and that would be Control-U, U like umbrella on your computer. Once you open the page source, you'll see the page source that runs that Instagram profile. And then you can do a keyboard shortcut for Find, which is Control-F, and look for the specific text, quote, profile page underscore. And make sure when you're doing your keyboard shortcut for Find, you use the quote, a small p profile, a capital P page, and an underscore. And then after your underscore, you'll see a number. And this is on that same profile we were using of Bongarella's. So I went to the page source, I did a find for quote profile page underscore, and then I get her unique numerical value. This Instagram ID number is the unique numerical value that was given to this user when they created their Instagram account. This field will never change because as a user, you don't have any control to identify your Instagram ID number or manipulate your ID number. So even though I could change my username, I can't ever change my Instagram ID number. It's a static, singularly identifiable field. Once you've identified both the username and the Instagram ID number for a person, you would go into your browser and use one of the two following URL strings where you replace username with the username of the target profile and Instagram ID number with the unique numerical value. So for Bongarella's, I would type thumcher.net/account/Bongarella's/her unique numerical value, which was 298-478-9510, /followers, and that would show me her followers, or /friends, and that would show me the account she's following. This would help me look for profiles of connections between my targets or connections between my victims. It'll allow me to see interests. So if I was trying to create some sort of undercover profile in order to friend this person, I could look for other accounts she's following and have a profile that's similarly targeted to that to make myself look better and have a higher likelihood that she would follow me back. So you can use this for intel gathering, you can use this for investigative purposes, but this just allows you to get more content around the person that you're following, and it would look something like this. So if I look for Bongarella's Instagram followers, it just gives me a list of all of her followers within that Sumcher page result. The last thing that we're going to talk about is finding Facebook friends. And now in order to find the Facebook friends, you do need to be logged into a Facebook account. But this allows us to see Facebook friends, mutual Facebook friends between two targets, which, as I said previously in the agenda, would allow me to see mutual connections on a profile, even if one of your profiles doesn't have their friends set up to publicly available. In order to do this investigative technique, you must be logged into a Facebook account. I would recommend that you not log into your personal Facebook accounts because if you're using your personal Facebook accounts for investigative purposes, you're opening that account up to discovery, and you're also opening that account up to being populated in the people you may know section of the people that you're doing searches for. Instead, consider creating a blank account that doesn't have any friends or followers or identifying information that you're using just for your investigative and searching purposes. Also, in order to do this, one of your two targets must have their friends list set to show. And then once you have that second target, even if the first target doesn't have their friends list set to show, you'll be able to see the mutual friends between those two people. If you don't have the data off the top of your head of who a mutual connection might be of the person that you're looking for your target, the website I use to generate connections is familytreenow.com. So if I would go to familytreenow.com and type in the identifying information for my target profile, what FamilyTreeNow does is it shows me possible relatives and possible associates to that person. So then I would have people to start searching for in Facebook to have my second target to do my mutual friends connection on. And usually within that list of people that I'm searching for, I can find someone with a public friends list so that this works, so I can get the mutual friends. The other thing I need to do is identify the Facebook ID number. The Facebook ID number, similarly to the Instagram ID number, is the unique numerical value given to a person by Facebook when they created their account. In order to find the Facebook ID number, there's multiple ways you can do this. There's also automated tools that will do this. But I think the easiest way is to just right-click on a person's profile photo and look for the field in your right-click menu that says Copy Link Location or Copy Link Address. And then if you would open up some sort of notepad or Word document and paste that in, somewhere in the URL that you copy, you'll see the delineator profile_ID equals. And after that profile_ID equals would be the unique numerical value of the Facebook ID number. Once you've gotten that Facebook ID number, you can always check that you have the right number by going back to your browser and typing www.facebook.com/ and pasting the unique numerical value. If you paste the unique numerical value of the Facebook ID number, it will take you back to that person's profile. Once you've identified the Facebook ID number for both of your target profiles, you would go into your browser and type www.facebook.com/browse/friends/UID equals, and then the unique numerical value of the first target, ampersand node equals the unique numerical value of the second target. And here would be an example of what that would look like with the numerical values there. And then you'll get a list of those targets' mutual friends. So if you had a target that had no friends set to show, you might think like, okay, well, I can't use this in my investigation. But if you could identify a second person that does have their friends list set up, you'll at least get a partial list of who that person's friends are in Facebook by doing this investigative technique. I'm going to send it back to Amy for any of the questions and answers.
And as a reminder to our audience, you can type in your questions in the chat box, and we will address them during this time.
Okay, it looks like we have a question coming in. Where exactly is the link for using, what is that called?
You can find the link for using Sumcher on slide 39, and it's sumcher.net/account/username, and then you would put the actual username, /Instagram ID number, but with the unique numerical value, /followers, or /friends. And you can get a copy of this presentation from the handout section. So if you click on the name of the presentation, you can download the file there. Or the next slide will have my email address. I'd be happy to email it to you directly if you're having issues with the download file, or if you had any other follow-up questions as well.
And please continue to submit your questions in the chat box, and we will address them as you all submit your questions. Thank you. Again, thank you all for submitting your questions. And you all can just continue to submit your questions into the chat box as they arise, and we will address them. Thank you.
Okay, Lauren, next question is, okay, I see some stories about Twitter disabling the geotagging feature this year. The stories mention precise locations. Can you still get general location information? Are there other workarounds for that?
So from the testing I've done, what seems to be happening with the, Twitter disabling the precise locations, I've seen the same stories, and I think that it's just part of the progression of the privacy of the social media platforms trying to protect the user's information. What seems to be happening is the geocode search doesn't seem to be affected. What's being affected is when you open a tweet, it used to give you the precise location in the tweet itself, and that is what I'm seeing that's being disabled. So I can't go to someone's profile and open up their tweets and get the locations from that information, but the geocode feature still is functioning. Now, I haven't tested it as of next year, because they say they're going to do another change to their API next year, so it would need to be next year once that's actually implemented to see if that's still working. But right now they have removed the precise locations from the tweets themselves by going to a profile, but the geocode feature as a search in the search.twitter.com is still functioning from the testing that I've done. I just wanted to say thank you to Amy and William for having me today. If you need a copy of the presentation because the download file didn't work for you, you may send me an email. My email address is Lauren, Lauren, @search.org. When you request the email, please include both your full signature block and the title of this presentation so I know what to send you. If you have any questions about the content within this that you needed to address later or you didn't want to ask within this webinar session, feel free to also email me any questions that you may have, and I'll be glad to help you then as well.
All right, great. Thank you, Lauren, and thank you for a wonderful presentation. And since it looks like we've wrapped up on questions, we'll go ahead and wrap up with today's webinar. Again, thank you to Lauren Wagner for a absolutely great and very interesting presentation and webinar today. I just wanted to go over a few last announcements for our audience. Please note that you all may contact NTAC. That's the National Training and Technical Assistance Center through the website displayed on this slide. You can stay up to date on the latest information by signing up for NTAC's listserv as well. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook at ojjp.tta. You may also contact OJJDP via the help desk by following the contact information on this slide. Do you have a training and technical assistance need? Well, if so, please visit OJJDP's TTA 360 platform to submit a request for help. Please take a few seconds to review the disclaimer here. Also, just wanted to inform you all that we will have another webinar coming up on October 23rd from 3 to 4:30 p.m. Search and seizure update, the legal landscape post-Carpenter and using local devices to recover data stored on remote servers. This webinar, again, will be held on October 23rd from 3 to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The registration link is live here. We do have a one last final poll for you all to take. So if you all take just a few minutes and let us know if you would like to be signed up for APA's listserv. So if you'd like to be signed up for the Association of Prosecuting Attorneys listserv or News and Events listserv, please indicate so here, and we will pass along the information to APA to assure that you all are indeed signed up for the listserv. So please just take a few moments to indicate if you would like to be signed up for the listserv here. Other than that, I will allow for you all to take a few more minutes or seconds to fill out the listserv here. Thank you all for joining us today, and have a great afternoon. Goodbye.